Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of our journey for the last several years. So thank you, Folgers. We couldn't do it without you, nor would we want to. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thanks to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror and Halloween genre, but does incredible commission pieces of any sort. Okay, so I have to put out the announcement again with YouTube. Still getting people saying, I can't believe I missed a live show. Well, if you subscribe and you click that little bell, that's the reminder bell, and that will tell you when something gets posted, when we're going to go live, and it'll give you a few hints. Going live tomorrow, going live in 2 hours. Wait, we're live. So it's really a good idea to do it if you are, if you want to really catch the live shows. And we do have an afternoon show we've had for going on a year now, and people are like, what? I always miss this. It's like, it's there. So Beyond the Outer Realm is our sister show, and it's Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a 90-minute show. It's a lot of fun, caters to a lot of our guests overseas or those who just don't really want to do the late shows. So anyway, tonight I've been really excited about this, and Jiulio Consiglio is going to be one of our frequent flyer guests because I've already booked him for another 3 shows. Love this guy. So tonight we're going to be discussing his latest book, Your Highest Vibration, Realize Your Full Potential Through Chakra Work and Meditation. He first teaches you how to connect with each of your chakras separately and guides you in working with them. And that's just for starters. So we're going to have a whole lot of fun. I see we have people chiming in. Please remember, we are simultaneously on 8 different platforms tonight. A reminder to those on Rumble and X, I can actually see you when you put a comment here on the board. Please don't be shy. Every now and then something pops up. Do not be shy. We are also on 3 different YouTubes. We are on 2 different Facebooks, and we are on Roku TV, which does not have a chat room. As always, I will flag questions and comments, that we would like our guests to address. Otherwise, I will intermittently just flash comments up there so they've been acknowledged. So without further ado, let's bring on our special guest, Jiulio Consiglio. How are you?
I'm doing great, Michelle. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. It's going to be an exciting show. This is something that people ask about a whole lot, and it's one of those topics that I guess it's very diverse. And if you don't have an understanding, I guess, of energy or how vibration works, because some people will just simply say no on frequency and vibration and, that sort of thing. But I think especially somebody who comes from, let's say, a life of high strangeness and just being in tune, it's easier to become in tune with yourself. So what made you want to write this book? Is it from a lifetime of experiences, or are you just like really good at writing these incredible books?
This this book is sort of the evolution of my writing.
Oh,
Between the ages of 19 and 33, I experienced some pretty intense adversity and suffering that ended up being a catalyst to my shift in consciousness. So in
oh,
2005, I awoke to the dimension of inner stillness, and that's that highest vibration that's already within each and every one of us. But the question is, who is aware of it and who is not?
right, right. Well, that's a big one because I think there are, again, so many theories with that. Just trying to get everybody. Hello.
I
Hello, Cindy, X girl. See, we can see you on X. So, um, so let's go, I guess, go into basics.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about tuning into ourselves essentially, because everything in the universe carries consciousness, right? I mean, every atom vibrates and has a degree of intelligence. Obviously, we
Yeah,
are light, basically just having a human experience, right? So the
absolutely.
chakras are all a part of that. What is, for those who don't know, what is a chakra? Why are they important?
So we are a mind, body, spirit. I need to start there. So the part that connects our spiritual nature to the physical body is actually the subtle body. That's what marries the two. And within the subtle body, we have chakras, which are energy wheels that harness and draw in universal energy. Now, these chakras are responsible, for example, the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine, for grounding ourselves, connecting ourselves to Mother Earth, for stability and for anchoredness, and that assists us also to become aware of the present moment. And then moving up, you have the sacral chakra that reflects playfulness when it's allowed to flow without restriction. And then like the solar plexus chakra, which is our will, our self-empowerment. So these chakras have great potential.
Mm,
What hinders them though is when we get caught up in reaction and get caught up when we are completely identified with the thinking mind, because the ego, I want to say this is very important. There's nothing wrong with the ego. It's our starting consciousness as human beings,
mm,
but eventually, as we grow and evolve spiritually, it can become that catalyst for that shift in consciousness.
mm. No, I completely agree. I think ego, some people say, there's no place for ego. And I imagine for the most part, there is not. I don't like it for myself and
Mm.
try not to exhibit that as much as possible. But I do think it does have its place.
Absolutely. So initially, it serves as our like identity, and every one of us have been conditioned to basically bounce between past and future, and that gives us contrast. It also is contrast to our inner stillness.
Mm,
So it serves its purpose. So before awakening, you could say that it's identity, but also the main source, the source of our suffering. And
mhm,
then after the awakening, it just simply becomes a reminder, believe it or not, just a reminder to awaken and reawaken. I often
mm,
say awakening is not just a one-time event. It's literally, you can make it moment by moment, and that's how you are reborn,
mm,
almost following your breaths, moment by moment.
mhm. Like a form of evolution. I mean, that is what it's about, right?
Yeah,
Evolving ourselves to different states of consciousness and being one, like I am. I
absolutely. So
am.
when you tap into that inner stillness, and all it is that silence or space between your thoughts, it's the core essence of our beingness.
Mhm.
Once you tap into that, then you recognize the stillness within, and that's when you look out in the outer world through silence, and then you
Yeah.
realize everything's one, really. There's only oneness.
Yes. Yes. I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts? I mean, typically we have 7 chakras. I've read we have as many as 12 with 5 etheric chakras. Like, do you work with that, or is that just somebody out there saying, nope, there's
I
12?
I agree. I agree with that. I actually, near the end of your highest vibration, I talk about the cosmic or soul or star chakra, which
Mhm.
is just above the crown chakra, and
Yes.
that one, when you connect with that one, that's when you start really experiencing your multidimensional self, including phenomena like UFOs. That's when you really call them in, because you're sort of becoming a beacon, almost like a lighthouse, where the light is just extending from you in every way, and it's basically saying, I'm in alignment, come and interact with me.
Right. So it's outside of the physical, essentially.
Absolutely.
Right. So how do you identify them?
How to identify the
All of these
phenomena?
chakras, yeah. Well,
The
the chakras.
chakras.
How do you
Oh,
identify them? How do you know they're all working? And
that's a great question. It's probably important to look at how to recognize when they're blocked, actually. So, for example, if someone is feeling instability in their emotions, they fear, they are operating through lack, things like that, then that's a root chakra issue. Intimate, having fear regarding intimacy, that would be a sacral chakra issue. Feeling that things are being done to you, so that victimhood, that would be impacting the solar plexus chakra. Or, for example, like not wanting to forgive, or carrying around some hate or anger or hatred
grudge.
towards someone, grudge.
The grudge.
Thank you. Exactly. Then that's a heart chakra
Yeah.
issue. So these chakras, just like ourselves, every part of us is listening to us for our commands, for our intentions, for they reflect our state of being. So that when you can begin to sort of recognize, okay, so what does each chakra do when it's in balance? Then you could look at, okay, where am I out of balance? And then one needs to be looked at and consciously attended to.
Right. So essentially, that's how you know you're pretty much tuned in, is if you don't, feel all of that heaviness.
Exactly. So if you're not carrying that weight, if you're centered and balanced, for example, like living through the present moment, one of the key things is observing the thinking mind, rather than where a lot of us are conditioned to just react. So
Yes.
when you're able to sort of take the seriousness away too, not take life so seriously, you literally lighten up. You light up from the inside. And so the more you're non-resistant and going with the flow, that's how you know that's a big one, the resistance, and people focusing on circumstances. A lot of people focus on circumstances, and that's what creates that perpetual suffering and the repeating of circumstances.
Now, question. Curious question. Can your chakra just fully stop working while you're alive? I love it. Misha always has these really cool questions.
That's a great question. You can basically, well, we're just made up of energy. So what you can really do is just really, really impact and impede it, and really, really slow it down. Not that it'll completely stop, but you really just slow down the energy. And the more we contract, the more we sort of just create a lot of heaviness, and we get stuck. When people say, I just feel stuck, we're literally stuck at a chakra level. So, for example, if someone feels like they're not getting ahead in life, then that's like a solar plexus thing. And literally, you feel that. Oftentimes, we feel it in our gut. We feel like I just can't move forward. So you are impacted energetically that way, but not completely stop in that sense. But you really just sort of slow them down, because they're always spinning. When we're in the flow, they're just drawing in high-powered universal energy that comes in as light information, wisdom, clarity, psychic abilities, the likes of which, things like that. But we literally get on our own way when we react, and when we just feel disconnected to source, or source energy, or God.
Now that's a tough one, because I once heard somebody say, chakras don't need to be, I guess they how was it? How would it put it? That they don't really break or jam up or things like that, because they're always listening, and it's up to us, I guess, just a different terminology that this person used, but it's up to us to basically, feed the right information. So I'm guessing it's the same idea, just a different variation of what we're supposed to be looking for.
Absolutely. We could almost look at it that we're the director and source is the producer, just mirrors.
Yeah.
Life is mirroring everything, including
Yes.
our physical body, the way we feel. So it's up to us. This is that part of sort of not only spiritual maturity, but awakening, is that despite circumstances, despite what we see, we make the conscious decision that we're going to direct our lives and become responsible literally in every facet, including health, including finances, relationships. It's basically what we're talking about, self-responsibility.
That's a tough one for folks,
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know that you're having the problem. Kathy, how do you unblock a chakra?
That's a great question. Do you have a specific chakra or just in general? Because if we're just talking a general chakra or a general unblocking, that would basically be looking at each chakra. So finding out what each one represents, becoming aware of that. And then whatever it is, begin to affirm. So for example, the heart chakra, let's say you realize that there's an issue with the heart chakra. I am forgiving myself, or I'm forgiving others. I am releasing this. And then this heart chakra is already activated and operating optimally. You can use root chakra.
Yeah, root and sacral. Yeah.
Perfect. So for root chakra, you would be feeling instability in your emotions. You'd be feeling even stuck, feel like you're on shaky ground. With the root chakra, you want to tend to that by, number one, becoming keenly aware that the present moment is all there ever is. Because if we briefly reflect, the past always arrived in the present. The future never arrives. It always unfolds in the now. So it's important for me not to try to convince anyone of that. Contemplate it, meditate on it, reflect on that. So present moment, and then using affirmations. And when I say using affirmations, it's important to just not say it, but to really feel the embodiment of it. So I am safe. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I am anchored in the present moment. You're saying it with a gentle conviction. And then with the sacral chakra, for example, so that affects relationship issues and fear of intimacy. So you want to look at whatever negative experience, for example, that may have triggered that, because what we do as human beings, when we fully identify with the thinking mind, the past likes to project itself into the future. There's your stuckness there. That's why we're stuck. So you want to look at whatever trauma seems heavy, but look at whatever experience or whatever negative thinking has been going on regarding, for example, relationships, and then tend to it. Do you have to forgive someone? Do you have to forgive yourself? Observe the thinking mind. See, we tend to look at the thinking mind and we automatically give it belief. We charge it with our vital energy. And that's what the ego does. That's why a lot of times, by the end of the day, a lot of people, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, because of the emotional currency we're just sort of spending, reacting. So practice becoming an observer of thought. And this is very important to really mention. When we observe thought, we're actually starving the ego, we're starving fear. It's important to mention that our inner being is more than capable of transmuting this negativity. So you're not suppressing anything, you're actually transmuting it by observing.
And while we're on the topic of unblocking the solar chakra.
That's a great question. Part of that involves taking action. So for example, we often will self-sabotage ourselves. I'll start this tomorrow, someday. If we think of the days of the week, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's no someday. So,
right.
so recognize. I often ask myself this question: if I don't take action now, where will I be in 6 months? Where will I be a year from now? Where will I be 5 years from now? That'll get your butt moving when you recognize, because time is fleeting in a sense. So solar plexus chakra, it's recognizing also that has to do with your willpower, and that has to do with strength. So if you remember your oneness with source, then you recognize, okay, I'm being supported, we're being guided always. the word desire, for example, we all have desires for our life. Desires are not the problem. It's that attachment to outcomes. But even the word desire means, when you translate it, from the Father. So our desires are in being inspired by the highest self. So the fact that they're being inspired tells me a way has already been made. So it's getting past the fear, getting stuck, and letting go of outcomes and taking the action necessary. That's how you really align with that solar plexus chakra to get your life moving and moving forward rather than remaining stuck.
Interesting. So the procrastinator needs to start procrastinating.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
boy.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Thoughts on chakras being too open or too closed? So both ends of the spectrum.
That's a great question, and I would be more, not concerned, but it seems a heavy word, but about them being too closed. The chakras are divine intelligence. It's the third eye that actually, when activated, silences the ego. You walk around with a silent mind, and that silent mind, though, is teeming with wisdom, clarity, intelligence, discernment, everything. So you can't be too sort of awake, because you realize it's all about integration and balance. Sort of like, so one hand is rooted in your humanity, the other one towards universal consciousness. And there's your balance, because we are human beings. We need to relate to each other. If I just sort of, moved into a mountain and wanted to be like this yogi sitting on a high, I'd be of service to no one. So
Right.
I wouldn't be too concerned about it being too open in that sense. They are divine intelligence. It's rather, we need to monitor any negative thinking, and then choose to let go of what no longer serves us by observing, releasing, forgiving. And that way we can allow, because we need balance as human beings. We've had so much of the darkness, so much of the negativity, bouncing between past and future, how we've been conditioned. Now we need some integration, and it's that spiritual awareness.
So how does fear play into that? Because we do live in times where, I mean, not a lot of times where
No,
you
I
think
know.
back to the history of man, there's been a lot
Yeah.
of shaky times.
Yeah.
So being that we're in one of these shaky times, there's a lot of fear-based information out there, and people have different types of fears. How does that play into feeling all love and light and really light? It's hard.
I love this question. Just as we have to experience fear to have our own individual awakening, fear becomes a catalyst if we surrender, have that desire to shift. But what I will remind is, this is also happening in the collective. So what is happening in the collective, all that chaos and all that uncertainty, is reminding us to come back to the centeredness of your inner being, number one, to observe the outer world. See, as human beings, we've been conditioned to live from the outside in, which means we look at the outside world, we react, and then we perpetuate it in our minds, because we've forgotten how powerful we are. The shift, the 5D consciousness that people talk about, or even new earth, shifting into new earth or inner stillness, you're now operating from the inside out. So you're observing the outer world. If reaction does take place within you, you can release it by observing it, forgiving yourself. That is, from one point of view, you could say it's a temporary error in judgment in that sense, because when we do that, actually, this is very important. So we're either putting our faith in source, or we're putting our faith in fear. What are we choosing to put our faith in? So the outside world is going to do what it does, because that is the collective unconsciousness. But it's important, especially at this pivotal time in our human history, to speak, think, embody the version of you who is empowered and what you want to see in the world, as you let go of how and when it'll manifest.
That's what comes down to mindset and intention, the power behind all of it. Because, I mean, let's face it, you can walk down the street and see fear everywhere. You can read it, you can see it, you can feel it. And forgetting to connect to source or the universe or wherever you're connected to, it's not always making itself present. In fact, some people blame it for their fears and things like that. So it makes it really, really hard for some people to be able to come back down to earth, so to speak, to connect with themselves, which is really connecting with source.
Oh, I totally get that, because there was even a point in my life when I was just when I was getting towards my shift, I was angry. I was angry at life. Why are things happening the way they do? Basically, life is source expressing itself. So when I had my shift, I was experiencing radical forgiveness. My parents, source, you name it, I was forgiving and releasing because I realized nothing was ever being done to me. It was all happening through me and for me for this shift in consciousness. So that's a total shift because now you understand why things happen the way they did. And then moving forward, you're more empowered. So I wouldn't say, you don't want to force yourself, for example, like force yourself to forgive, source or God. Why are things happening? But we have to come to our own sort of realization that nothing is being done to us. We actually chose to be here this time.
Apparently.
You and I are going to argue over that for a bit. We're going to arm wrestle. So believe it or not, trust me, I had to come to that conclusion too. We chose to be here, anchor our light. It's not a coincidence too that so many of us too are in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and we're sort of anchoring in new earth in that sense. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like, Joe.
I hear you. I know.
Next question.
Next.
Does in alignment mean all chakras unblocked, or is it more so to do it? More to it than that? God, I'm sorry, I can't even read. Or is there more to it than that?
So it takes a little bit of awareness, but a good starting point is to become aware of the fact that if you're not resisting things in your life, if you're going with the flow, if something pops up and you don't allow it to really drag you down, you're in that flow. Your chakras, you're allowing more of the chakras to come online. It's so key. What I'm about to explain is awareness is so key. Like, for example, when you let something go or you forgive someone, that's a mini ego death. But that's profound when you realize that's what's taking place. Because as you starve the ego, you become more in alignment with who you truly are, which is just the center of your beingness. So it's important. So awareness is everything. And having that awareness that, if I'm going with the flow, I'm not resisting, I can forgive easily, I can let things pass. And, when an emotion comes over us, if we look at it almost from an impersonal point of view, we can let it literally pass through us because now there's no attachment. Attachment is the root of our suffering oftentimes. I often say too, negative thinking is like the ultimate addiction. You want to talk about addictions, negative thinking. So right. Yeah, those are just some key things. If you're flowing with things, if you're not resisting, that's telling you you're pretty much in alignment.
Well, see, attachments could mean things and people.
Oh yeah.
My son was 16 at the time when he enlightened me. I'm just an attachment to you. I'm like, so what? That's all I could say was, so what? Right? Because I had no answer.
Yeah.
He wasn't wrong. But it took my 16-year-old to say, blah, blah, blah. And then my grandson was born and I said, look, I have another little attachment to love. I wasn't impressed with that. So I think there are some things that are easier to let go than others. Because I mean, the whole fiber of your being, I'm a mother bear. It's just like I would be here in the afterlife, making sure that my kids are totally free flowing, good life. So some of us are a little fanatical about the attachment part of the physical being, but I think that's a really hard one. I guess where I'm going with it, it's a hard one to let go, to release that.
I totally get that, but it's in observing those attachments. So when you see them, you could see them as energies, but what they do is, if you can observe them, you actually are able to, let's say, like, for example, if you're attached to, let's say, a specific car or a person, like a girlfriend or boyfriend, suddenly you lose them. There's our suffering because we invested, we gave them our happiness, and once that thing is gone. So what happens though is, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, when we operate through these attachments and they're really sort of obsessive, like we're obsessing over them, we set the stage for loss because it's the fear of loss. So when we operate through the fear of loss, what vibration are we embodying? Fear of loss. So the universe mirrors that and says, I'll give you something to lose. And it's never personal. It's simply, it's being mirrored.
It gives you back, what you put out there
Exactly.
comes back to you.
Exactly. So I'm saying
Yes.
this, I'm trying to be lighthearted as well about it, but I'm saying
Just tell it like it is.
it's
Jiulio. It's all right.
exactly. So what you're being, so
Yes.
what we're putting
Yeah.
out is what we get back. So
Yeah.
the wonderful thing, especially with relationships, if we can just be responsible for our own happiness,
Mhm.
it makes that other person breathe. They can breathe because they can
Mhm.
be themselves, and then you can cultivate forgiveness and things like that when it's necessary.
Mhm.
So yeah, the power of
Mhm.
non-attachment, I can't even begin to tell you how transformative it is.
Yeah. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
I'll work on that one. My kids will probably thank you, even though they're all adults.
I'm going to be getting emails. Thank
I
you.
know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does tapping help open the chakras as well?
You know what? Anything that gives you permission, absolutely. Tapping shifts your focus. So there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with tapping. But just sort of like I was saying, some of the key sort of principal foundations to really get the chakras online
Mm.
is recognizing and really centering your awareness on the present moment. Because when you can ground yourself in that root chakra and recognize the present moment, you become
Mhm.
sort of like your life becomes a solid foundation,
Mhm.
and now you're rooted, and so nothing really can move you from in the outside world, and then that creates that foundation to let everything else light up. And once you're starting to connect with inner stillness, which is a result of that,
Mhm.
that's when we're talking about spontaneous healing, third eye activation, a spontaneous third eye activation, where the ego is cast out, and now
Mhm.
that's the enlightened state. So,
Mhm.
but tapping, anything that gives you that permission, but ultimately it's the inner work. So it's not so much the doing, it's the
Mhm.
being. What are we being?
Yes. It's sort of like, have you heard of the, hopefully I'll say this properly, Kundalini?
Kundalini awakening.
Kundalini?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people realize that it does work like this
Oh yeah.
living intelligence,
Yeah.
within us and
Yeah.
within our nervous system, within our consciousness.
Yeah.
And a lot of it can be just through, singing bowls and things like that, like just creating these frequencies. I always make a point of having like older tuning forks too, because I love the way they sound with crystals. I've got
Yes.
gongs, I've got bells all over the place, and I love frequency, and
Yeah.
it really helps. So when you're working with frequencies, does that help speed up the process?
It absolutely helps you,
Yeah.
even if it does it temporarily. When you're in that moment, it shifts
Yes.
you. Like I love hearing, especially when I'm in the backyard sky watching, the
Yeah.
church bells come on. I
Oh,
absolutely love it
yes.
because
Yes.
we do have parallel lives for sure. I've been surrounded by that because I just
Mm.
absolutely love them. So
Mhm.
anything that helps shift your frequency, but you want to get to the point where all those things almost become, yeah, just sort of rituals, things that you just love, enjoy to do,
Mhm.
but nothing again replaces that being consciously centered, because
Mhm.
now you're allowing a potential Kundalini awakening where
Mhm.
the third eye is activated, and that's where humanity, believe it or not, although it appears we're going to hell in a handbasket,
You're not wrong.
don't
Yeah.
don't believe. I mean,
No.
all that chaos. Enlightenment is a very destructive process. We're seeing it in the outer, within ourselves, and
Mhm.
it serves a purpose. And it's again for this shift in awareness.
Mhm. I mean, do you notice how there used to be church bells everywhere, and then they just sort of like
Yeah,
disappeared, got buried, and oh, it was for the war effort. No, it wasn't,
yeah,
because you buried them. You didn't use them.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe in
Because they
some
know. Because
cases.
they know. Because they know.
That's right. It's that suppression.
Yeah,
So I guess that was going to be where I was going next. Is that we have this. People say, remember who you are, remember where you come from.
yeah,
I've said it to people, especially really gifted people, like, stop it. You know this. I've been told that by, ethereal beings, stop it. You know this. No, because I wouldn't ask, because we don't remember who the hell we are when we come back there. It's like our creator's little joke. Now let's just see them try to figure it out. Anyway, here we are. So with that being said, some
yeah,
things come back to you, some things don't.
yeah,
But the frequencies, all these bells, and it's not just like the Catholic Church or the Christian Church. I mean, there were a lot of temples that had these really beautiful resonances of sorts. And do you think it's just something that
stops
that process within us by not having it?
It can, because these are frequencies that are high vibrating. We are energetic beings, and what we
Yes.
become in tune with, we sort of resonate with.
Yes.
You see, I do love rock music. I listen to AC/DC. I listen to everything, right? Yeah, exactly.
Headbanger. Yeah.
So depending on even your state of being, listening to Hell's Bells does not lower my frequency. I'm anchored in stillness, right? So, but yeah, there's a reason why these things were removed. But I almost look at it as, the powers that were, as the fly. We're like this elephant, and it's like this this little pest. It's just it's working its way out, and so when an animal is injured, for example, it doesn't go quietly into the night. It thrashes, and what we're seeing is the thrashings of a dying consciousness, ego consciousness. So these narcissists are going to be self-imploding, especially when people just don't comply.
Yes.
Which I never have.
Right. No.
So we'll leave it at that.
I think it's about how it makes you feel inside. But I mean, the fact that they changed the musical, what is it, like the musical frequency from, what was it, 440 down to 432?
432, yeah.
That right there should make you wonder why.
Well, everything, like even our history, we hear things here and there about Tartaria,
Sure.
Nothing about, I often, when I refer to history, I see it as his story, someone else's story, and it's what we're being fed. So I don't want to get, I don't get caught up in that. I'm like, we're manifesting a new earth, and it's just staying focused on what is, and whatever is out of our control, you got to let go anyways, because if someone is acting, for example, like insane or crazy in the outer world, there's nothing you can do. The reaction is what they want. So if you withdraw your power, and at the same time set your intentions on what you want to see, what kind of world you want to live in, what kind of person you want to be, and trust that a way has been made even when you don't see one, boy, you'll move mountains.
Sure. Just hand the universe the wheel, essentially.
Exactly. Because if I'm honest, at 32, 33, my life looked like it was headed for disaster. But Source God was setting me up for a spontaneous awakening, healing that happened, mystical events during like a 30-day period. My whole life transformed after that third eye activation. I had that patient cancel, went to my car, did what I normally did off of Upper James and Hamilton, tried to relax.
Yeah.
Reflected on a phrase of a book, and then I had this spontaneous awakening. So what looked like disaster set me up for transformation, miracles.
Yeah, because we don't always have control over what goes on out there. All we can control is how we handle it, what we do with it. Beautifully
said. It's we're either responding or reacting. It's either conscious or unconscious.
Right. Yeah, that's where you have to switch it from an unconscious, right? Unless you, again, conditioning. You just have to condition yourself to automatically react a certain way if you're going to react.
It's definitely just a shift. It's a shift. So once you cultivate this relationship with Source, practice meditating. Meditation is, people put so much like, oh, meditation is so hard. If you're reading a book and you're in the moment, that's a meditation. Meditation is just focus. If you're washing dishes, just be in the moment, being aware that I'm just washing dishes. That's a meditation. So looking at a plant even for 5 minutes, recognizing that stillness can allow that stillness to be mirrored back within you. So it's not as hard as people think, but once you open that door, it's that desire and willingness. If we have that willingness, that's what allows the highest self to really integrate in our lives.
Yeah, again, that's a big one. So we're talking about shifting. So how does it affect us when there are actual planetary or universal shifts that happen, when it's not us that's shifting, but when we're shifting, everything shifts?
I see what you're saying. And what happens is, like, for example, a lot of people get affected by that. So the important thing is, it's like anything else. even anything else in the outer world, is to sort of work with it, flow with it, have awareness, introduce awareness to it, and then, again, be anchored in the present moment, have that present moment awareness as these changes take place, because that is what will sort of ground us in our beingness. That to me is always the key thing. It's that foundation.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. So how, I mean, we obviously, if we are energy, we are affected by other energy. What about the Schumann resonance?
Ooh, I love this. I love that you brought this up, because there's a few.
Yeah.
So the more that humanity awakens, the more like Mother Earth is going to reflect that. And I love that you brought this up. Like, what about, anything else? For example, like, people often, I help people that say, I hate crowds. I hate being in crowds. We hate being in crowds because we're all energetic. Really, we're just, the body is like 99.999% space. We're energetic beings. And what happens is everyone is operating with some level of ego. What happens is think of it like a virus. Things will just jump from person to person. And if you don't have that awareness, you could be in a crowd and suddenly you feel anxious, you feel, or you react to somebody. Someone gives you, you look at them and you're like, I don't like that person. Next thing you know, I'm uncomfortable. So again, we go back to having an awareness that if we're in the present moment, anchored in our beingness, we can feel these things, but not let them become us. So there's that reaction. So instead of reacting, we're just observing, being, because it becomes difficult. Transformation appears to be difficult because people think like it's going to be hard, but we need to, it's part of like that discipline. We need to sort of go through that, the eye, the little eye of the storm type of thing, to get to the other side where we experience the peace of source or peace of our inner being and things like that. So avoidance is what keeps us stuck, avoiding things. Yeah. Yes. So it is what it is. Yeah.
It is. So I guess grounding would be a good idea. Just to keep your grounding so you're
huge.
not so scattered and you're more focused.
And what that person said is, the tapping could help you ground too. So like I said, anything that sort of gives you permission to relax, to come into centeredness. That's all every spiritual seeker is after the same thing. And it's that the light, but the light is within us, and it's unchanging, unmovable, because it is the light. So everyone's after the same thing. It's just being clear. Okay, so what it is that's missing? It's the awareness of that inner stillness and a deep rootedness, again, in the present moment.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a big one.
Huge.
And using is it solfeggio tones?
Oh, I've heard of those recently.
Yeah.
Solfeggio tones, I think.
Yeah. Again, because it's they say it's like medicine for your body. And again, it's just because of the frequencies and lining up the vibration. Right.
I would call it like a form of energy medicine. So like just as like forgiveness is a form of energy medicine, practicing non-attachment, challenging negative thinking is a form of energy medicine, things like that. So definitely it's one of those, because it helps raise our vibrational frequency.
Yes, because like Wayne says, frequencies heal, sound healing frequencies. Absolutely. I've told people who are just, like clients I've worked with through the years, I says, just get some binaural beats on.
Yeah.
And just connect to the one that you resonate with, pardon the pun. And then right. And just let it take you in. I love those. I think they're wonderful. Which, while we're on sounds and tones and frequency, let's skip outside the box a little bit to animals. Right? I mean, a purring cat is said to be able to heal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, let's face it, they were revered in ancient times. They can move energy, clear blockages, pick up on illness. The malevolent energies or entities, they're believed to fear cats. That, you look at an animal, it's almost like they can look into your soul and they know when something's going to happen. Right? How many animals react trying to get their people out of harm's way, sometimes like literally within seconds of it happening. But animals like cats and dogs and birds and horses, dolphins, they're set to work from this space. I'll let you know where I'm going with it. This space which they automatically are tuned into frequencies that most humans cannot even perceive. So how, which is where I'm going with it, how can we get to that point of just having an automatic connection, just accepting it for what it is and not trying so hard?
I love this question. Even dogs, like dogs are just unconditional love. So there's a reason why we're drawn to cats, to dogs, because they sort of represent, in a sense, the flow. So what we're after is just getting into the flow. So, the thing is to always remember or come back to the flow, because it's easy to get carried away when we look at life and we take life so seriously and we give our vital energy and make things appear real. So whenever, for example, we automatically feel the difference when we're around someone we're just not a fan of, and then we're surrounded by loved ones. What happens? We shift. We shift. We have a good time. We laugh. We joke. Same with our animals. We love them. They're like our babies in a sense. So a shift happens. So anything that like brings you joy, anything that brings you that. So, but that can be cultivated from within. So, but all those things, having animals, being surrounded by loved ones, that's just a part of our fulfillment, having a fulfilling life. Yeah.
Because they're tuned right in.
Oh, totally.
To everything. Like, I will sit there sometimes and just watch them. And it's incredible. It's just incredible how they interact, or how they know when something isn't right, or they just want to make you feel good, or, I think it's just amazing what they can do. And their intuition is just like second to none.
Second to none. I've never owned cats, but I love cats. And I remember going to look at a farmhouse. The resident cat came up to me. I was with a real estate agent, came, lied on her back, and just submitted. And she goes, 30 years of selling houses and owning cats, I've never seen a cat do that. And the cat, beautiful. And then it followed me throughout the house. So beautiful cat. So they're very intuitive. They know. So it's, they just mirror your energy.
Yeah, they're definitely incredible beings. So I guess that's what it takes then, is just follow your pet's lead. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
but keep your animals with you at work 24/7, and that'll be part of it. But yeah, they're in the flow. Dogs don't, in a sense, dogs don't know resistance. Dogs really don't know a fear of lack. Things like that. So we pick up these limiting beliefs by well-meaning people, our parents, teachers, what we see on TV. So as kids, we're energetic sponges. And then next thing you know, we come into this world with no attachments, and then, but it's part of the process. So we have to come into this world. We forget by taking on all these energies. There's that look you gave me. You're like, yep, you darn do. And then it's our job. Once we've had our fill, you can make the choice. You can continue to play with the game completely and totally identify with this matrix, or you can rise above it, transcend it, and then still see it for what it is. But now you're a conscious participant. You're not getting pulled in.
It sounds really good
on paper.
Yeah, it sounds really good. There was a quote, talking about positive energy. Yeah, it looks good on paper.
Yeah.
But I saw this quote and I wanted to share it because it resonated with me. So essentially, it's a short one. Be careful not to become what you hate, judge, or resist. When we focus too intensely on opposing something dark or unjust or harmful, which is what we've been talking about, all of these things that, take away our connection to source and to ourselves. So whether it's in others, the world, or within us, we risk absorbing the very energy we resist, essentially. So stay rooted in compassion, awareness, integrity, even when facing pain or injustice. Be careful that what you resist does not take root inside of you, so you do not lose your light.
Absolutely.
Author unknown. Yeah.
Absolutely love that. What that points to is just practicing acceptance, which is very hard. I understand. I was waiting for you. I
Yeah.
said it before you said it. It's very hard. But when we can fully accept ourselves and for our human conditioning,
Mhm.
then we can accept others actually.
Mhm.
Because when we realize we've all been conditioned the same way through the ego, through separation, bouncing between past and future, when we understand ourselves, then we can understand others. Now we're extending compassion, and
Mhm.
or in terms of, let's say, things that we're seeing in the world that we don't like, you can just observe it, because reacting is not going to help. You know what reacting does? Just withdraws your vital energy, robs your
Mhm.
vital energy, and you're feeding. It's sort of like this luge. You're just feeding
Yeah.
your energy, right, to this 3D consciousness that we're in. So
Mhm.
there's perfect, believe it or not, I'm gonna use the word, there's perfection in it. There's perfection in even in suffering, because when you can get past it,
Mhm.
you realize, if it wasn't for that, because we never transform, we never change unless we're uncomfortable.
Mhm. This is true.
If we're uncomfortable, and usually we're comfortable with a known pain, so we have these attachments, but we sort of know them, but we don't fully understand them, because
Mhm.
it's actually keeping us stuck and keeping us from moving forward.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's there's this an analogy. It's funny, when Wayne and I sometimes speak, and I've used this with people who just are resistors. It's like, the universe will make things, or creator will make things more
Yeah.
difficult for you. So the more you resist it, the harder the road gets. But when you start shifting gears with the little nudges that it gives you, things start to feel easier. So when you get on the right path, all of a sudden things are seamlessly simple.
I love that you brought this up, because so many of us, we bypass or negate our intuition.
Mm.
So we're always being guided. The highest self knows the way. It knows sort of which way to sort of help direct you. We only end up experiencing issues when we do things contrary to that inner knowing.
Yes.
I was going to buy a Subaru a couple of years ago, before I have the one I have now. And when I sat down, the sales guy was being a little bit sort of aggressive. My soul was railing against it. I
Yes.
got up. I said, I have to go use the restroom. I didn't. I just looked in the mirror, and I'm like, this is not for you. It's time to go. So I
Mhm.
came out. I said, thank you for your time, but I got to get going. They like chased me out the door, but that
Wow.
wasn't for me. A few months
Yeah.
later, I ended up buying a brand new one. So it's
Mhm.
honoring what you're feeling, paying attention. So
Mhm.
so clarity, discernment, wisdom. It's a one-way street from the
Mhm.
highest self to our local conscious awareness. But the
Mhm.
question is, who's paying attention and who's not?
Mhm. That's a big one, and
Yeah.
that's a great example. No, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's true. Listen to your gut. I like this. Wayne says, if you look at your existence like a sponge, it will absorb whatever liquid you are placing into it. Clean water, poison water, dirty oil. Be
Yeah.
careful what environment you immerse yourself in. Yeah, we
I,
absorb everything.
Absolutely, and I actually I love the quote even from Bruce Lee, like, about surrounding flow, or be like water. So,
Yeah.
water, what does it do? If there's a cup, it becomes the cup. If there's a teapot, it becomes the teapot. So whatever is presented in life, we have a choice. We can resist the challenge, or whatever appears, or we can,
Mhm.
work towards finding a solution. And it comes to a matter of, what do we value? Do we value inner peace, or
Mhm.
do we value still resisting and fighting? Because the resisting and fighting will just give us more of the same.
Mhm.
Again, it comes down to remembering nothing's being done to us. These things are happening to awaken us,
Mhm.
to have a shift. What I lost my brother when he was 33 to
Oh,
cancer. I
sorry.
was 24. Thank you.
Mm.
And that had a profound impact on me. And it
Mm.
also created a subconscious fear of death. Fast forward, that was one of the main reasons I had my shift in consciousness, and actually called forth my own ego death, because what
Mm.
I feared is what I called forth.
The ego death. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
big. That's
yeah.
big.
Yeah.
But you see, but you also are aware that that sort of thing exists.
Yeah.
right? So many people, it's hard because if you're not versed in it,
Absolutely.
people have standard conditioning, whether it be through faith or education or just
Yeah.
from our parents. We inherit
Oh,
their fails. Let's talk about ancestral healing and
oh,
the baggage that comes, through our ancestors. Like
yeah.
cycles.
I'll be the first one to say I didn't even know what enlightenment was. I just knew that I
Mm,
was suffering. But the first book I ever read was Transforming Your Dragons. I think I was 19, but there
mm,
was a key element missing. There was no white hot desire for transformation. It wasn't until I actually went through this shift that I realized what I am, the stillness, the silence. So,
mm,
but I had so cultivating self awareness, reading, watching podcasts,
mm,
becoming versed in, for example, what is ego death, what is awareness, what is the ego,
mm,
and how it operates. That's the key thing. It just bounces. It has one playbook, bounces between past and future. But if I often use this analogy, if we get in a car, we drive 50 feet forward and 50 feet back. We do
mm.
that for the next 50, 60, 70 years. Where will we be? Nowhere. You get
Nowhere.
nowhere. So
Yeah.
so that's what it does. The key again is awakening to the present moment and then observing the construct of how it operates, and then invoking that conscious mind. What do you want to see in your life if you have this awareness that all
Mhm.
things are possible?
Mm. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
That's again, I think the key, just from this whole discussion, it comes
Hmm.
down to awareness.
Awareness and like cultivating, coming to know how one operates. So once
Mhm,
we know that there's a shadow self and that it
mhm,
operates with us and we've identified with it, and
mhm.
knowing that there's a deeper part of us. It's nothing special in that sense. It's
No.
already present. It's just
Mhm,
becoming aware and tuning into it. But that stillness, what appears to be nothingness, holds
mhm,
everything that as spiritual beings we truly desire.
mhm.
Yeah.
So, in writing this book, because this book comes out soon.
Releases on the 18th. It came out in the States January 8th. Yeah.
Oh, so there we go.
Yeah.
So you guys will be able to get it soon.
Very
So,
soon. Very soon.
what were you hoping? What are your hopes for this book?
To reveal that suffering serves a purpose, that we're unconditionally loved and supported,
Mhm,
that there is a part of us uh, that is so vast, so limitless, but we have
mhm,
forgotten, and we have forgotten to embody it. And when I
mhm,
say embody, your vibrational frequency is made up of your thoughts, your words, emotions, and
mhm,
more importantly, your outlook on life.
mhm.
There it is. And
There it
so
is.
and so and so cultivating a positive outlook, which is
Mhm,
very important because literally our consciousness is what projects our life. So if we think
mhm,
of life as even a film strip, we're choosing, or even a video game. Every sort of potential outcome is already preloaded. I always
mhm,
say like creation is done. Now the question is, what do you choose to align with? What higher timeline do you want to choose? So I cover a lot of embodying your higher timeline, your highest
mhm,
timeline, by embodying the highest self, because now it just becomes a reflection. When you get in tune with your true essence, stillness, when you just cultivate some meditation and you become quiet internally, you're now embodying your highest self. And now you start thinking, speaking from
mhm,
that potential rather than the past, allowing the past to be repeated. So
mhm,
it's basically awakening to, there's been a lot of talk about new earth. New earth is just awakening to your spiritual nature and then
mhm,
seeing oneness, seeing that oneness being reflected outward. It's not as complicated. It's not going to be something happening from the outer. It's an inner experience that then expresses outward.
mhm. So essentially, heal yourself, and you can heal everything within you, around you,
Ooh,
outside of you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Once you make that conscious reconnection with source, with the inner silence, stillness,
Mhm,
all bets are off. That's when all things become possible, because
mhm,
now there's no limiting emotion, and when
mhm,
emotion does occasionally arise,
mhm,
it's just a reminder now to reawaken. So the gift that comes after that shift in consciousness you're still able to experience the ego. You're still able to interact. It's just now you're not bound and held down by, for example, or stuck by fear, limiting beliefs. It's just it's a shift where you're liberated. Your mind is liberated, but you're still able to, be a human. So
Be a human.
that's what we're doing.
Seems overrated.
She's like, when do we evolve to be ETs?
I know. Right?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. There you go.
So before we jump to that,
Sure.
what do you make reference to like portals of power, and how do we access this within this whole group?
I love this. So our chakras are incredible potentials. Our chakras are the portals of power.
Yeah.
So when we get into the flow and we don't resist things, we're aligning with higher timelines. So if we even look deeper, examine the word present, right? The present moment. The present moment is present. So source knows what we're going to be like a week from now, a month from now. So being preemptive with positive thinking, forgiveness, letting things go, going with the flow, can actually have us bypass potential lessons and losses, because now we're shifting into a higher timeline. We're shifting because we're cultivating awareness. We're cultivating. So it's putting into practice, not waiting for something to happen, consciously putting into practice, embodying your spiritual nature now, and then, moment by moment. It's not to say things are going to set you, not go off the rails, but, challenges will arise. But the more you cultivate this positive momentum, the more you're able to actually then address anything that does come up, and you can focus on a solution rather more quickly and efficiently, rather than being stuck. So cultivating this can save you so much time in terms of your spiritual awakening, your spiritual journey, and can shave off, because you're actually embodying it. You're being it. So the present moment is all there ever is. So waiting for someday never arrives, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's just so we're clear, because I know there's people out there listening going, shifting timelines. Does that mean I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to be like putting up with all this crap going on out there in the outside world? What do you mean in this case by shifting timelines? No, you're not going to wake up, in a bed in another time or place, essentially.
So we still have this illusion of space-time. So the outer world eventually does reflect whatever it is you're manifesting. So when I was suffering with incredible anxiety and the depression that comes with it, I didn't even fathom that relief was even possible. So I shifted from being told I'd be sitting in my coffin having panic attacks to now I'm transcendent, and I can stop a negative thought, turn it, twist it, drop it on a dime. That's mastery. You silence it. You silence the ego. So there's like, if that's not a timeline shift, I don't know what is. So spontaneous healing, experience that after a life-threatening health scare. Again, massive timeline shift. So when we get into this surrendered state, so when I say surrendered, all that means is practicing being non-resistant.
Right.
And when you do experience that resistance, you have the time. We get so, especially when, with people who suffer from panic attacks, they have this negative thought that something bad's going to happen, and they react, and that's what eventually creates dread. But if we take a step back and realize we have time to choose differently, just because you have this negative thought that says something's going to happen, you can look at that thought. If it doesn't align with you, give it no belief, challenge it, and then replace it with a positive thought. We have this space-time to choose differently. So I think that's very important. So when I say timelines, I'm basically saying we're always shifting. We're always shifting with every thought, word. We're always shifting realities. It's so subtle though, but it becomes quite obvious when you're aligned in stillness. Because when you're aligned in stillness, when a thought arises, it actually presents itself almost like a portal. Do I want to go down that road? So for example, someone cuts you off, and the instant you want, the reaction, what's going to happen if you react. So you have that choice. Exactly. So you have that choice because but the more clear you get, the more you'll know, okay, do I want that outcome? What do you value? Do I value inner peace more? Do I value, letting things go? So again, this just is a cultivation. For some, it's like a muscle. It's like weightlifting. You've got to do it to sort of build momentum. But there are times when, for example, me, the intensity was so white hot, then that shift happened in a moment, and then I just sort of went from there. There was this one moment in time, third eye activation, ego death, and now it's just practicing living moment by moment, having an ego death with every breath. A breath in, there's life. Breathe out, there's another ego death. Again, I'm reborn in this moment. It's sort of, you think of, what's that phrase in the Bible? It's easier to pass a camel through the eye of the needle.
It's
easier to
easy.
pass a camel
It is
than to
easier.
find the kingdom.
Yeah.
But this is the narrow path
Yeah.
I'm talking about, is living moment by moment, breath by breath. Because as humans, what are we being conditioned to do? To just sort of, again, that moving, shifting between past and future. Again, nothing wrong with it. The question is it still serving us? That's the question, and that's a personal question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's easy to get,
Yeah.
to get upset. Believe me.
Oh yeah.
I'm one of those behind the wheel. I'm like the closet, like, and it's just,
Tell me what car you drive. I'll know what to avoid.
I know, but I'm always the one that's like, why are you on the road?
No, I know.
But then you realize, okay, maybe just having a bad day, but now I'm having a bad day. So this is a matter of reframing, and just not going there at all.
Yeah. But it's even okay. So if you do have that reaction, you have time. You can just forgive yourself also, and just let it go. You don't have to remain there, for example, the rest of the day. Or when you're cultivating awareness, you can shift out of something. I remember before my shifting consciousness, you'd hold a grudge for weeks. Now you shift. You can
for
shift
life.
Now you have for life, but now you can shift in a breath.
Yes.
It's so quick, because you see the value, you recognize the power that we have in manifesting our destiny, and it's like, I'm not going to give energy to this energy, because I know where it leads to, suffering and anger and things like that. So awakening to the ramifications of what these things do, again, it's also making that connection of the mind body, that our health is a reflection also of the mind body. So when you put all of that into sort of perspective, you place greater value on, and you become mindful of what you entertain. Yeah.
Awakening, awareness,
yeah,
and finding the inner calm, which is
stay off the road.
Yeah, maybe, but I think that's that's a big one. Breath work to me can bring you in there pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
Especially
like those that are more prone to anxiety. We get out of breath quickly because we literally, the energy of the anxiety hijacks us when we think that's actually happening now. Next thing you know, you're breathing hard. So practicing breath work, or even in the middle of experiencing anxiety or panic, will help assist, sort of ground you and let it pass quicker, more efficiently.
Yeah, it's very easy to hang on to things. As Wayne says, I hear you. Something bad would happen to me and I'd hold on to it for days and weeks.
Understandable, my friend. I understand.
But it's like dragging a boat anchor, right?
It is.
Yes.
And I also sort of highlight this. Let's say you're hammering in a nail and you miss the nail and you smash your thumb. Your instant reaction is to get peed off at the hammer. And what happens? You react, you get angry at the hammer, but who experiences the anger? You do, because you and the hammer are one. Separation is an illusion. You're one with everything. Reflect on this. You can't get angry at anything or anyone without immediately experiencing the anger within you first. Same thing happens with the opposite. You extend kindness, compassion, forgiveness. You experience that within you, and then you extend that outward. So the ego projects, contracts, and our authentic self extends, and it's you're expressing unconditional love when you're doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, again, be one with the wrench. Wayne says, inner calm as I throw it across the garage. You are one with the wrench.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Be one with it.
Well, as soon as you're talking about the hammer and nail, I'm thinking, yeah, Wayne's done that.
There you go. Well,
so
he was one with it. And
yeah, I don't know. It's happened. It's happened. So when you talk about, tools in your book, helping people by supplying tools to be able to get them through these processes, or, line themselves up and literally get that control. What do you talk about with tools? Which tools?
Couple of the main ones is the importance of challenging negative thinking, which we have not been taught nor conditioned to do. So let's say, I'll give a perfect example. Let's say we keep feeling stuck. And so we repeat, or we just feel day after day, stuck. I feel stuck. You're focusing on circumstances. So the first thing to do is to bring awareness that I'm feeling stuck. Become aware, label it. This is a stuckness energy. And then if you haven't figured out completely why you're stuck, you can begin with the affirmations. And again, it's important to, when you say this, not to say it through I hope or I wish. It's I am already moving forward and a way has been made. I am already shifting out of this stuckness. So when you say the I am already moving forward, you're not saying I will, you're choosing it now. You're choosing it now. But again, it's important to say I am doing it. And with feeling stuck, you want to bring attention to, okay, so what is it that's making you feel stuck? It's just an energy, a thought, a belief that keeps repeating. So it's based on some sort of past experience or a past thought or something that didn't work out, and it's being repeated in the mind. So you have to bring awareness to the mind and then challenge that negative thinking. The moment you start doing that, you're now aligning with the power of the third eye. The third eye is all about silencing the ego. So the more you cultivate challenging negative thinking, the more you align with the third eye. Another great thing is, probably the most powerful meditation I offer is the meditation on stillness. So just becoming, finding a space 5-10 minutes a day, doesn't take a lot. And just paying attention to the body. Drop your shoulders, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, remember the present moment, come into the present moment, and then just bring first awareness to the thinking mind. Just observe it. And then when you start doing that, you start beginning creating space. Now, the key in that is to become aware of the silent witness. Who is witnessing the thoughts? That's your enlightened self. That's your true self. Your true self is that silent witness. So that's two examples of some tools that you can use. And then, for example, with activating the chakras, visualization. When I experienced a spontaneous healing about a few weeks after my third eye activation, I had a vision, and it spoke volumes to me, of healing a wheelchair bound version of myself. I had this vision appear to me, as well as like a wall with the word ego spray painted on it crumble before my eyes. Spoke volumes that what we imagine and what we see done in our minds is already taking place in the higher realms, and what we give belief to, or better yet, knowing. So, for example, if you want to connect with the root chakra, you want to like visualize yourself standing on a nice rock, see the word root chakra, feel yourself being grounded and connected, breathing. And then the root chakra is represented by red. So it's Mother Earth. Seeing like a ball of red energy at the base of your spine begin to expand and flow in a clockwise fashion, and then expanding, and just focus on that 3 or 4 minutes. That can help you center yourself and ground yourself as you remind yourself the present moment is all there ever is. But this is important. Becoming aware that the present moment truly is all there ever is, that has to be a personal thing. You have to come to that conclusion yourself. But once you do, it's a game changer.
Instead of getting mad, just laugh. or calm down, or
Ooh, yeah,
just simple little things. I
yeah,
think would it
yeah.
would be, as I look at some of these comments, try to avoid saying things like "I'm stupid" or
Ooh,
"I'm stuck," because you take on that personality.
yeah.
In doing so, you lose your identity. Instead of saying "I am experiencing a difficulty," for example.
That was beautifully said. In my last book, Your Inner Healer, I actually highlight a few phrases that we innocently use, like "so and so makes my blood boil."
Yeah.
Saying it once probably
Mhm.
ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
Saying it over and over again over 10, 15 years, then people wonder why they have high blood pressure. Or
Right.
I can't stand the sight of so and so. So
Yes.
our words are very powerful because
Spell casting, right?
it's exactly spelling. Abracadabra. I create as I speak.
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
appreciate Wayne for bringing that up because it's so true.
Wayne's are, yeah, they're also a comic relief. He goes, "I guess I'm
That's
one with the
great.
low-hanging beam in the basement. Love and light to the beam, my wooden-souled brother." Forever knocking his head. It's like,
He's at peace with it,
tall
so
guy.
it's
Yeah,
all
it's
good.
make the
He
peace,
he
love
may
and
get to
light.
a
Yeah.
point where he can just walk through it. He'll just elevate himself. So
Yep. Sometimes I think you just have to laugh. But
yeah.
in spinning off of what Wayne is saying,
Mhm,
it's like being in these to show you how easily conditioned we become. If
mhm,
you're in a bad relationship, or if you have parents who are, always saying something like, "You're stupid, you're ugly, you're being dumb," and things like that. Eventually, you
mhm.
become that because it's what you hear all the time. It's easy to feed off of that and to absorb it.
Absolutely. We're energetic sponges, and
Yeah.
even, for example, being overlooked. So, um,
Yeah.
people can only give you what they recognize within themselves. So if a coach or a
Yeah.
teacher overlooked you, guaranteed, they were quite disconnected to their own self. So
Mhm.
it's like asking to get blood from a stone. It's just not going to happen. So,
Mhm.
so we again, we choose these difficulties and adversities before we come here. We make these
Yes.
sort of soul contracts, as you, yeah, I know. So again, it's like taking that ownership. But
Mhm.
I didn't say it's easy. I've had some pretty profound adversity in my
Mm.
life. Um,
Mhm.
but it definitely served a purpose, because without it, I would not have made the shift. I would have not sought to seek. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, which brings you full circle to writing the book and
Yeah.
sharing, in the knowledge, which
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, you
Thank
know.
you.
We're going to spin off just a little bit, which is a bit of
Mm,
a precursor to, Julio's next appearance.
mm,
Um, but I want to talk about it because I believe that in dealing, let's say, with extraterrestrials,
mm,
and I'll let you explain why we're talking about this.
mm,
But I think the basis, which some people grasp and some people do not, is that you have these very advanced beings who, and I don't want to take away from
mm.
anybody who's had, not everybody has the best experiences. I can only speak
Yeah.
for myself
Oh,
and
yeah.
for many people I've had
Yeah.
on the show talking about it, but they want to see us develop and become our true potential, such as
Mhm.
embracing our abilities like telepathy, like psychic awareness, just for two, compassion,
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
right? So wanna talk about your experience just a little bit?
A abs
What is your passing, fleeting thrill of the
Absolutely.
day?
But I need to start by saying I appreciate everything you said, because they've
Yeah.
made it clear to me in my channeled writings, they're not our saviors. They see an enlightened being within all of us. They're here to
Yes.
inspire and to show us what's possible.
Mhm.
I've had one Sasquatch encounter, which we can talk about that at another time. But
Yeah.
people who have channeled Sasquatch or experienced mind speak, Sasquatch has said, "You could do what we can do. You can teleport, but you forgot. You can do these things."
Yeah.
So I'll briefly sort of give an introduction of how it all sort of came down.
Yes. Please.
I was finishing writing Open Your Third Eye. I live in a 4-row townhouse, and I decided to finally go and hang out with my neighbors, Matt and James. And our backyard is all open. It's about an 80-foot wide backyard. And it's 6:43 p.m., October 8th. It's fairly clear, and I notice within a few minutes a hula hoop shaped object about 10 times the size of a hula hoop come in, and I let out an expletive. I recorded it, and I said, "What is that?" And my neighbors were like, "What the hell's going on?" It was no form of propulsion. My now reflection on it is that the phenomena used a very benign thing to get my attention. 5 minutes later, I'm in the northern sky looking. A tic tac, 45-degree angle comes down. I record it and I say, "What is that?" And James is like freaking out. Fast forward a few nights, and this is now a middle October, clear night, crisp. I'm chatting with the guys, and I get the vibrational hit to move about 10 feet away from them, coming over the townhouse, black, silent triangle. I locked eyes on it, 4 gray pads, and I called the guys over. Mac goes, "Is that a flock of geese?" And I'm like, "Focus, guys." Mac woke up. We
honk,
watched honk,
Yeah.
big time, and we watched it cruise for about 8 or 10 seconds. But the thing I have to say about this phenomena, and I'll leave it at that, is that was a temporary avatar. Because fast forward to May 2021, we're on our respective porches. Matt notices lights dancing in a cloud. So I come down the steps, James, and we see it. 5 minutes later, we're in the backyard. I'm facing the driveway. Triangle comes in again, this time more holographic. I said, "Triangle, it's here." They turn around 200 feet, and before our eyes, as it crosses the neighbor's backyard, vanishes. James is having a religious experience. I'm elated because I have this deep remembering with this object. 5 minutes go by. Triangle comes in again. This time, if we take a triangle, cut it top to bottom, 2 pieces, now go horizontal. It was coming together and moving apart, shifting. I said, "Triangle, it's back." Matt goes, "Bullshit." I go, "Turn around." They turn around. We watch it, 200 feet, vanish. Spoke volumes to me. This object can go from being lights dancing in a cloud to a holographic triangle to these orbs that I've recorded. It's on my pinned videos throughout social media, to a very black triangle. Absolutely incredible. I always knew they existed. Did I necessarily think they'd show up in my backyard? Not so much. But when I look at, I've been operating through universal consciousness, it makes perfect sense.
It's similar to the CE5s. I mean, it's a telepathic thing. You know, you just call them forward. I mean, when I decided, I've been a contactee from childhood, and I just up and decided one time. I guess I blocked it out and went no. Anyway, at one point, I said, okay, I'm ready. And literally within days, couple weeks, bam, tons of experiences started happening. They slowly started happening again before that, when and then I guess that memory came forward, and it was just like, okay, I'm ready. And then it's just like opening floodgates. So telepathy, people are like, well, we do the C5s and they have great experiences. Some maybe not. For me, I didn't. It's like, what do you need to have a CE5 for? Just think about it. If you're connected, you're connected. If you're having these connections, it's because you already have that connection.
Yes. I often, like, I always knew, like, for example, like the reality of oneness. They've demonstrated over and over again. I have an object that appears to be a half mile away, and it's responding by powering up. Absolutely incredible. It never gets old. I've recorded just that alone, like the object responding by powering, probably 250 of those posted on social media. It still blows my mind even to this day, as incredible, because it's just incredible.
Yeah, you have to embrace it. It's like we were talking about earlier. Once you see it, and that applies to, I say, the world of high strangeness. Once you know, you can't unsee it, and you start seeing it and noticing it everywhere. It's
You
the
do.
synchronicities. It's like once you see it, or you observe it, or recognize it, they happen all the time.
Even the paranormal. So even paranormal encounters, there's actually insights in there. So we can let it, contract and make us become fearful. Or when you begin to sort of create an understanding and cultivate some awareness of what's going on, then you lose your fear, but then you gain insights and you realize the two worlds are one: the spiritual and the manifested world. They say the veil is there is no veil. If we say there is a veil, the veil is the thinking mind that convinces us that either A, it doesn't exist, or B, it's another life. It's in another dimension. It's all here and now.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
And being, how you feel when they come around you, what do you think through your channeling that their message is for humanity, for us?
Their
Awaken your chakras.
Exactly. Well, bingo.
Woo,
That
I get the prize.
they have reminded me of so many things. They've been
Yes.
spontaneous, incredibly playful. Things are humorous at times. So the triangle is the one that usually photobombs many of my encounters. So I'm recording an object, and it'll power up and just photobomb, or it'll respond. Let's say 95% of the time. Then there's 5% of the time nothing, stillness, just silence, and I burst into laughter because I'm not attached. Like I'm like, can you power up? And it doesn't do it. But they've reminded me that Earth is going through this ascension process, and the more they've always been here, just out of sight and mind.
Yes.
And like I said, they've made it clear they're not our saviors, because they said, what would be the purpose of us showing up en masse when many people still don't even realize who they are? We would just be another distraction. So the sightings will continue to accelerate. The more people become heart-centered, fearless, basically, and if you have that willingness to connect, absolutely, there's no distance in the unified field. So, but they're essentially, they've always been here, guiding, supporting us. I often experience the trio, so it's 3 objects. Usually 2 will appear, they'll start to dim, and then the third one. Lately, September 11th, that date is burned in my memory because that was the day I last encountered them, 2025. The unconditional love, strength, and support, I thought I was going to have an out of body. Like, it rivaled my own third eye activation. It was absolutely off the charts. So they're benevolent. They are, from one point of view, parallel future versions of us. Because if we look at ourselves, we are actually multidimensional beings. This is not the only life we're living. There's versions of us living other lives, including extraterrestrials. I don't want to convince anyone of this. This is something you just have to either accept, or it resonates or it doesn't, and either or, it's more than fine.
Yeah. I think, I mean, there have been, prophecies and predictions made where this was going to be the year of contact and disclosure. And I don't know how many shows I've done on contact and disclosure. Will it happen? I don't know. I mean, we have to look back to hundreds of thousands of years. We're not the first, as I say, kick at the can here. And it's very obvious in many cases, like they've been here before us. They reside here. We look at the Hopi people. There are many indigenous people that talk about, the ant people, the people that come up from below. We know that there are reptilian communities. We know that there are dimensional doorways all over this planet where they come in and out as well. So, we are sharing space, even though we may not, want to know about it. We may not acknowledge it. We may not be aware. It's a thing.
I love it.
They don't all come from up top.
I love that you mentioned this, because it's not just been UFO stuff going on in the backyard, but paranormal. And I described this, actually, my sister dubbed it the flying book. Middle of December, like 2022. I'm just recording for no reason and coming over the townhouse about 15 feet. It initially appeared like a worm, slowly developed wings, all within 1 second. And I recorded it, and it looked like a book about the size of a dog. Absolutely astounding. It gave me ancient Egyptian vibes, and I've shared this video on social media, but there is so much more to the unseen than one can even begin to imagine. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I think, some people are well aware, again, that everything is connected. And for those who are just starting to have this awakening that you've been talking about tonight, I think it's very important that we also become observers. I mean, real really observe what's out there, because it's eye-opening. It's enlightening. You have to avoid the conditioning,
It is.
because the conditioning is not our friend.
It is. It's just basically having an open-mindedness. So if we just approach things with an open-mindedness, I never, even in my writings and teachings, I really emphasize, I don't want to convince you of anything. If it resonates, take it, utilize it. If it doesn't, you can always go back to it. And that's with anything. So if it resonates with you, but having an open-mindedness, the minute we say, okay, there's no way that exists, you know, we're spiritual beings in a meat suit. If that's not a miracle, like I don't know what is. You know, focusing our awareness into this reality. But I've seen, like you, I've seen too much, and know too much. You know, to know that this is all there is. This is a grain of sand relative to what's really going on. And what I often say is, we're coming to the end of the separation with the rest of creation, to the separation experiment. So, you know, what's going on is sort of an unveiling of what's really surrounding us. We never left the spiritual realm. It's here and now.
That's food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, where can people find your book?
So it's available Amazon.ca, bookstores. It's slowly going to be reaching there in the next week or two, and online. So yeah.
And your website, which I've been flashing.
Yeah, thank you for that. JiulioConsiglio.com. I offer one-on-one teachings, and there's just some information on that. And then my social media, I post a lot of my teachings and a lot of pretty much 90% of the UFO encounters I've had.
Wonderful. And you guys are going to have to look for you to come back. And we've got 3 incredible segments planned for you all. And
I'm looking forward to it. I absolutely loved this conversation. I've been looking forward to this. Like I said, I've been watching you on TV for quite a while, and I've always you're so insightful, and yeah, absolutely incredible. So I really appreciate it, Michelle.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to have you on, and to think just like how close you are.
Yeah, I know. We're not. It's funny, isn't that weird? Yeah. So,
I know. Turns out we live very close to each other before here. Yeah, out in Burlington way. It was kind of like,
yeah.
Oh my God. Everything you said. Well, here. I'm like, yeah, I know it.
Crazy.
So, oh my gosh, I'll have to give you some more places to go check out over there.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. But thank you so much for joining me tonight, and a big thank you to everybody in the chat room. Of course, all our international audio listeners, thank you. And everybody in chat, awesome. You guys are just incredible. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Next week is really jam-packed. So Monday night, join Daryl Denton, Ron Moorhead, and myself for 2 real cryptid legends, because these 2 guys are just amazing. And the topic of conversation chosen by the gents were the differences among Bigfoot: habitat, behavior, vocalization, appearances. They're going to cover literally everything. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. These guys are just wonderful. It's such an honor for me to be alongside them. Tuesday on Beyond the Outer Realm welcomes back Laura Lee Potvin, and we're going to be talking, or having, our celebrity death series, and talking about Paul McCartney. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wednesday night, welcoming, this is a new guest, and I'm really excited about this. And I think, I think yourself, I think I mentioned this guy before, but Mark Russell Bell. And he's going to be, I have to say, he's a metaphysical blogger and an author. He's written screenplays for some really popular movies that you would all be aware of. And he's going to be talking about one of his amazing articles, and using a metaphysical approach which presents precise evidence and documentation of interstellar and interdimensional UFOs / UAPs, space people, as he calls them, interaction. So as he says, what's the real story? So from nonfiction to channelers, he really is going to dig really deep. So when you talk about channeling, I'm thinking this might be right up your alley. So it's very, very interesting. His articles are really out of this world. They're incredible. And Thursday, we welcome back Maxim Furyk, and we're going to do round 2 since he had tech difficulties in October, the Smurl haunting, when Ed and Lorraine came to town. So we're going to give that another whirl and see how that goes. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all for tuning in to The Outer Realm with myself and my special guest, Jiulio Consiglio. We've been broadcasting live in the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM, 107.7 FM. Thank you, Folgers, for sponsoring us tonight, every night. We appreciate you so much. Big thank you to Justin Snicker and Steve McGinnis. Remember, if you're subscribing, don't forget to hit the bell. Yes. So anyway, thank you all for yeah, I'm putting up your comments. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you for
Great
being
show.
here.
Thank you. I could just keep going. Thank you. I adore you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you as we go up the line.
Good
So
night.
thank you and good night.
Thank you, Michelle.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.